Welcome to the Solar Buyer's Guide. My name is Anita Ledbetter, and I'm the Executive Director of Build San Antonio Green. We're excited to partner with Bexar County to provide information to help you go solar on your home or business. Thank you for joining us today. And for more information after the video, go to bringsolarhome.com. Thank you. Good morning and welcome. I'd like to welcome our attendees and our panelists to our the Bring Solar Home Solar Buying Guys webinar. My name is Anita Ledbetter and I'm the Executive Director of Build San Antonio Green. We're excited to bring you this webinar today, and joining us is Kaylin Randolph, and Kaylin is the Build San Antonio Green Bring Solar Home Program Administrator. So Kaylin is really the one who's answering the phone, answering your emails, and doing a lot of the due diligence when you contact our office wanting to go solar. Kaylin's been with us for several years, and she really brings a passion for our community, and in this role where she's really working every day to help connect the people of San Antonio with their options for solar. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, Kaylin. I also want to introduce you to a good friend of ours. His name is Jason Pittman. Jason is a board member of Build San Antonio Green, but I like to think of him as the man that years ago coined the term, I want to fill the solar desert here in San Antonio and bring solar to all the people. Jason is the president of Big Sun Community Solar, and he co-founded Big Sun's solar parent company, Go Smart Solar, in an effort to really lower the cost of solar and to promote the mass adoption of residential and commercial solar generation, and really to improve the user experience. So I'd like to also welcome Jason for joining us this morning. We know that you're going to have a lot of questions, and we've reserved some time at the end of the webinar for some Q&A. I think if you look on WebEx, there's a button there where you can submit questions to the Q&A, and the panelists will be looking at them during the presentation, and again, we'll be addressing some of them at the end. So I'm really excited about that. But first, we have a little video that we wanted to start out with and talk to you a little bit about Build San Antonio Green and our work. We are Build San Antonio Green. Our story began back in 2001 when Mr. William Sinkin founded our organization by bringing together the City of San Antonio, Bexar County, and CPS Energy to develop strategies to reduce emissions. This has guided our work for the past 17 years. Today, our mission is to protect and enhance the quality of life of the citizens of San Antonio through our work. Community engagement, solar, and green building. This is the foundation of Build San Antonio Green. Our community engagement aims to educate and include the citizens of San Antonio in discussions, opportunities, and activities around solutions to climate change to build local resiliency. We host a variety of events throughout the year, the largest of which is SolarFest. SolarFest is a free family festival that has grown into more than just solar over the last 18 years. We have unbiased technical expertise to help you go solar on your home or business, and we've connected thousands of customers to their solar options here in our community. Keeping with our founder's vision, we're working towards the equitable distribution of solar in our community through education and providing options. Bring Solar Home is designed to be a free, unbiased consumer decision tool for solar options here in San Antonio. Green building starts here. We believe green building should be accessible for everyone. So our certification process is designed specifically to be affordable. As San Antonio's affordable green building program, we work with builders and developers at every price point throughout San Antonio. historic retrofits, large-scale production homes, multifamily, low-income housing, mixed use, and commercial building. Build San Antonio green, working to protect and enhance the quality of life of the citizens of San Antonio. Great, thank you, Kaylin. Thank you. So as we learned about in the video, most of you may know us through the Green Building Program. And we've been working hard over many years to certify over 23 million square feet of green buildings here in our community. That's over 10,000 projects, and it's saving our city over 16 megawatts of peak demand and energy. It's protecting our air, over 280 million pounds of CO2, which is pretty much the equivalent of removing over 23,000 cars off the road here in San Antonio every year. We love you, San Antonio. We're really excited to bring this webinar series. And with that, I'm going to hand it on over to Kaylin Randolph, our Bring Solar Home Program Administrator. Kaylin?
Hi, good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully you're enjoying a cup of coffee with this like little bit of rain that we're getting, which is nice. As Anita mentioned, my name is Kaylin Randolph, and I'm the Bring Solar Home Program Administrator for Build San Antonio Green. So we have a website called bringsolarhome.com. If you're interested in going solar or you just have general questions, we encourage you to go to that website. There's some information on there just to figure out if solar is right for you. And then if you're ready to move forward, we can provide you with a technical desktop review of what your solar potential is, as well as maybe point to some shading obstructions or things like that that you may have, or connect you with installers if you're ready to move forward with the solar process. This is what the website landing page looks like, so that's what you can expect when you visit that page. When you do decide to go solar, if this is something you're considering, there's two major options right now that CPS offers. And so today I'm going to talk to you about private ownership. Private ownership basically means that you've decided to purchase a solar system and that it's going to be installed on your roof. Here in a couple minutes, Jason Pittman is going to talk to you about Big Sun Community Solar. So it's a community solar project by CPS through Big Sun, and it's really interesting. It's one of a kind, so it'll be exciting to hear about that soon. When you do decide to move forward with private ownership, or you're thinking about buying a solar system, there's a lot of questions I'm sure that you have or that you're just thinking about. So it's important to start kind of getting in the mindset of, are you ready for solar? Is your home ready for solar? So we're going to go over a few items to consider and kind of think about before you make that decision, or you're on the path to that decision. As Anita mentioned, we are a community resource, so people call, email, we connect to them in those different ways through SolarFest, through different events that we do throughout the year. And I get asked a lot of questions, but these are the top 5 questions I would say that people ask when they're reaching out to us. And some of those questions are, how many panels can I fit on my roof? How much is that going to cost? Are there any rebates? How long does that process take? And eventually, how much money will I save? So there's questions that you are asking me, and I would encourage you to ask yourself some of these other questions. I think maybe these are some questions that people don't consider sometimes. So what are my goals in going solar? What is my current energy usage? Oops, sorry. How much do I want to offset my energy bill by? And then ultimately, the first thing is my home suitable for solar? And when you're asking that question, if your home is a suitable candidate for solar, there are some other subcategories that are going to determine that, or are going to determine your decision. And those main ones are energy efficiency, the age of your roof, the orientation of your roof, trees and shading, those obstructions I mentioned earlier, and the roof materials. So we'll move on to this little diagram that kind of outlines that better and more graphically for you. Like I mentioned before, your roof. So your roof should be 10 years older or less, right? You're going to get something installed up there. There are roof penetrations. You want to make sure that that roof is in southwest, south, or southeast. That's because the way the direction of the sun moves. The materials of the roof, asphalt, shingle, and standing seam roofs are ideal choices. That doesn't mean it has to be that roof material. You know, they install on clay tile roofs. We see a lot of that in San Antonio. And why it may be a longer installation, it's something that an installer can do. And then orientation and shading. The south-facing roof space should be located in a shade-free area of the site. So we've kind of demonstrated that here in this graphic. You can see those where those solar panels are facing, and there's no trees or any obstructions like that in the way. Moving on to the solar buying guide. So if you've considered if your home is suitable for solar, now there's some more details to look into when you're actively pursuing this. And this will kind of outline some of those main points for you to look at and just serve as a guide for you to have some questions to either ask your installer or ask yourself. Phone calls and mailers. If you are interested in solar and you've signed up for this webinar, it's very likely that you've been contacted or you've received a knock on the door, a mailer on the door regarding solar. And there's quite a few of them out there. So, I'm sure everybody's asking, how do I know it's legitimate, or who should I choose for this? The thing that we recommend and tell people to do is just to make sure that that installer is registered with CPS. So CPS Energy has a list of registered installers. They update this list every couple of months, and you can find that online at their website. For some reason, if you don't see that installer on there, it may be that they are registered with CPS. However, it just hasn't been updated. So we also encourage you to reach out to that phone line there, and you can call and ask them and make sure that they are registered with them. Energy efficiency first. So this was one of the first things we discussed when considering going solar, because it's very important. The reason it's very important is the more energy that your household uses, the larger your system, your solar system will need to be, right? The more power you'll need to generate to offset your costs, your energy usage. Making energy efficiency updates to your own first can reduce the size that you'll ultimately need. So, right, it makes sense to kind of tackle that efficiency before you move into purchasing a solar system. CPS Energy has a lot of great home energy efficiency programs. They're all located on their Save Now portion of their website. And so I encourage you to go look at that. There's a ton. They also have rebates available. And you can also reach out to us directly too to find those resources and tips and things like that. Another question that people ask is, how are solar systems sized? This goes back to the energy usage, right? For new homes, systems are sized using projected energy usage of the home, and that's based off of the square footage, the available roof space, and what your specific energy goals are. So right, if it's a new home, no one's been occupying it, you may not have your energy bills to find out what your energy usage is, but it's likely that an installer will look at the square footage of your home, the average energy consumption of a San Antonio household, and then they can extrapolate and figure out what, in a ballpark of what that usage would be. For an existing home, they're going to determine that system size by energy usage. They will take your utility bill. Any month is fine. It will have the past 11 months of what your energy consumption was. They're going to look at your available roof space and what your specific energy goals are. The average size of a system. So the average size of a system in the US here is a 5 kW system, 5 kilowatts. That's what that stands for. Now, a 5 kW system, although it's average, it may or may not produce enough energy to cover 100% of your energy costs. As I previously mentioned, that really is dependent on what your energy consumption is. And that differs from people. Some people may have the same household square footage size, but maybe they have their mother-in-law living with them, or they have 3 kids as opposed to no children. So that's all going to really determine and change what that energy consumption is. Now, the average cost of a system. The average price per watt in San Antonio in 2019 with CPS Energy was $3.59 per watt. Okay, so that would put the average 5 kW system at $17,950 before rebates and the tax credit. And we're going to talk about the rebate and the tax credit here in a minute, but just to give you a ballpark idea of what that costs, that's that figure there, and we'll talk about how that's calculated as well. Now, you've progressed through this, you're in the process of receiving bids. It can get a little bit confusing. Even, let's say you're getting your home retiled, you're comparing and contrasting these bids. Well, not all bids are created equal, and they're going to use different materials and things like that. So these are 4 items that we point to consider, to think about when you're comparing those quotes. Price per watt, the equipment, warranty and maintenance, and financing options. And we'll go through all 4 of those. So the first one is a big one up here. Price per watt. I just mentioned what the average price per watt was here in San Antonio, and this is how you'll calculate that. It's very likely when you receive a bid that the price per watt, the contract I should say, the price per watt will be listed on there, and CPS Energy has documents that you have to sign saying that you've acknowledged the price per watt of your solar system. But just for you, so that you know how to calculate that, this is how you would do it. The first thing you're going to do is calculate the size of your system. So you're going to do that by multiplying the wattage of your solar panel, whatever panel that they're suggesting that you use or that they use for the installation, by the number of solar panels that will be installed on your roof. So the example here would be, let's say they quote you with a 325 watt solar panel, and they are going to put 16 solar panels up on your roof. That would be a 5,200 watt system. Now, solar systems are typically referred to in regards to kilowatt. So that's going to be a 5.2 kilowatt solar system. Now, once you have that system size, you can calculate the price per watt of the system. In order to do that, you're going to divide the total cost of the system. Let's say the installer has quoted you $20,000 for this system that they're going to install. Now you're going to divide that by the system size. So you see that figure down there, $20,000 divided by 5,200 watts. That's going to give you the price per watt, which is $3.85 per watt. So a little bit higher than the CPS average, but still in that range of what we see in San Antonio. And that's something you can look at when you're comparing and contrasting bids, if price is something that you're taking into consideration, which I'm sure you are. Equipment is another thing that's going to vary on the bid. Different installers use different equipment. So there are many options when it comes to solar panels. It's a very extensive list. It's important to remember and note that the locally made mission solar energy panels that are made here in San Antonio, they qualify for an additional $500 rebate. So when we get down to this rebate a couple slides later, I'll explain that further. But that's something, if you want to use local made materials, look for an installer that uses that or ask them. Some commonly used solar panel manufacturers, some that we see often in bids and quotes, are SunPower, LG, and Mission, as I mentioned before. The wattage of solar panels differs very greatly. There's some even less than 265 here, but typically that's what we see used more and more now, right? If the wattage of a panel is greater, potentially you could have less panels on your roof. So that range we see is 265 to 360 watts. And remember again, as I mentioned, that panel wattage is used to calculate the size of your system. So inverters, this is the next piece to the solar equipment that is going to be used for the installation. There are a few different types of inverters. There are microinverters, a string inverter, I should say, and power optimizers. So what do inverters do? What is the job of the inverter? What it basically does is it converts the sun's rays that are coming in on the solar panels up there into power that your home can use. I'll go through quickly just kind of the different facets of these inverters and what they mean, what the differences are between them. So for microinverters, there's one microinverter installed under every panel installed. That could potentially be costly. Let's say you've got 16 panels up there. Well, you're going to need 16 microinverters. It's good for shading. And the reason it's good for shading is if one or more of your panels are shaded, the rest of the system will keep producing. So that's the positive there. Now, if you're being quoted a string inverter, there's only one inverter needed. Electricity output is dependent on the panel that is performing the worst, right? There's not an inverter for each panel. There's just one central inverter. So it's dependent on all those panels working in the same way, or it's only going to produce as much power as your panel that's, let's say, struggling the most. However, it's easy to replace. It's just one piece of equipment. It's economical. Again, you're just buying one piece of equipment for that portion. Optimizers. So optimizers are paired with a string inverter, and they function similar to a microinverter, two microinverters. It's more economical than microinverters typically. However, something to consider is if you ever increase your system size, the string inverter will need to be upgraded because your system size has increased. So there's something to consider there. The third thing, warranty and maintenance. So the industry standard for solar panels is a 25-year performance warranty for tier 1 manufacturers. Tier 1 manufacturers are going to be like those solar panels that we mentioned before. There's a very long list of them, so there's plenty to choose from. And the panels are going to stop working. They just become less efficient over time, and that's why they have that general warranty there. Inverters generally have a shorter warranty, so it's important to ask your installer, depending on what inverter you have used, what that warranty is. And again, it's just important to talk to your installer, have a conversation with them about their various warranties offered, the coverage of installation, workmanship, and roof leaks. All things to consider when you're comparing those quotes. The final fourth piece is financing options. So depending on how you plan to pay for your solar system, it's important to look at those options. Most solar companies now offer in-house financing. So, you may want to go to you may like one financing option over another, and that's dependent on which financing institution that solar installer uses. So compare those rates. For example, what I mean by that is like, what are their specific rates? What are the fees? And what would your monthly payments be once you have that installed and you begin paying for the system? So incentives and credits. Once you've moved through this contract bid process, you're going to be wondering, well, are there any rebates available? And there are, absolutely. So CPS Energy has a residential rooftop rebate. For residential projects, that's $2,500. It's a flat rebate per project. And then, as I mentioned previously, if you're utilizing local modules, that's an extra $500. So potentially that's a $3,000 rebate there on the cost of your project. So a little bit more how these rebates work. In order to qualify for that rebate, you need to make sure that your installer is registered. They're a registered solar contractor. This information, again, as I mentioned, can be found on the CPS Energy Save Now website. Do keep in mind that any price higher than $4 per watt will not qualify for the CPS Energy rebate. So that's why it's important to have that conversation with your installer and make sure you've got all those boxes checked. Again, the average price per watt for solar in San Antonio in 2019 was $359 per watt. Now, there's paperwork you have to fill out with the installer for this rebate. And so typically people ask, how does this work? Who does it get awarded to? There are two options here. You pay for the cost of the system up front, and you receive the rebate after the system's installed and commissioned. Commissioned means that it's been turned on. Everything's been approved and it's running. Or conversely, you could assign the rebate to your contractor, and the cost is removed from that initial contract price. So you've got two options there. Both of them are perfectly acceptable. The federal tax credit. So there is a federal tax credit available. It's a federal tax solar energy credit, and it can be claimed on your federal income taxes for a percentage of that total solar system cost the year it's installed. That current rate is at 26% for systems installed in 2020, and it goes down to 22% for systems installed in 2021. That tax credit is supposed to expire in 2022 unless it is renewed. So we'll just have to kind of keep an eye on that and see what happens in the future in regards to that tax credit. Financing options. So there are a few options you have available when it comes to financing your solar system. You can pay for that system outright. You can finance the system through your installer that you choose, right? They'll have in-house financing options, or you can finance through a financial institution separate from the installer. So you've gotten a loan and you've decided to use that loan to pay for a solar system. So there's some additional important things to remember, just things to keep into consideration when you're deciding to make this purchase. We always recommend that you get at least 3 solar quotes before you decide on a contractor. Just like with anything, right? When you're shopping around for a car or for someone to retile your home, it's important to just compare and contrast so you can get the best price available. When you're calculating energy savings, the energy rate should be around 9 to 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Again, you should treat this purchase for a solar system like you would any other large purchase. Keep those considerations that you have in mind. Remember, though, that you have the right to cancel your purchase within 72 hours if you decide that you do not want to purchase a solar system. And be sure, this is an important one, to add your system to your homeowner's insurance for the full replacement cost of the system. That's before the rebate, that's before the tax credit. So keep that in mind. that's going to conclude my presentation. As Anita mentioned, we'll have a Q&A at the end. So if you guys have questions, or you can reach out directly, if you don't want to ask the question here, you can either reach us by phone or through that the website we showed earlier. And now I'm going to hand this over to Jason, and he's going to talk to you about Big Sun Community Solar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen so everyone can see the presentation. Okay, great. Let's get started. Great job, Kaylin. That was very informative and very thorough. What I'm going to talk about is a little bit different than rooftop solar. This is community solar. I have a few slides here, and so let's just kind of jump into it. The first question is, what exactly is community solar? Kaylin gave several options, several examples of how to install solar panels on your roof. Our program is really for people that want to adopt solar. They want to participate in CPS Energy solar programs. However, they don't want to install solar panels on their roof for many different reasons, which I'll go into here in a second. So this is just a quick graphic that tries to give a visual explanation of how our program works. We install solar farms or solar arrays throughout CPS Energy service territory. So I'm kind of starting at number 1. And we capture energy, and we send that energy to CPS Energy through their distribution grid. We monitor the number of panels that our customers own. And then every month, we tell CPS Energy how much credit to put on our customers' monthly bill. So what we do is we're looking for different places in San Antonio to build these big solar farms. And so our company, we decided that we wanted to build solar carports instead of building big solar farms in the outskirts of town. So what we do is we look for real estate partners. So these are firms that have either commercial office buildings or they're universities, and they basically have very large concrete parking lots that they want to cover. So what we do is we go and we partner with them, and we build solar carport structures. We sell those solar panels to our customers, people in the community. And then based on what I mentioned earlier, we have a piece of software that monitors, calculates, and then sends every month the credits that our customers earn, and it shows up on their utility bill. Here's a kind of an example of what it looks like, right? So you can imagine we have these solar carports distributed throughout the city. Each of those solar carports are divided up in terms of different fractional ownership. So in this carport facility here, the Gomez family actually bought 10 of these panels, and so those 10 panels are owned by that family. There's another customer that bought 7. The Smith's family. So both of these families see the credits based on the production of those panels that they own every single month. We have carports that are owned by hundreds of different households throughout the city, and we have some that are owned, I think the smallest one is owned by 11. So these are solar carports that we're building. We have 12 of these facilities distributed across the city. The one on the top left is a commercial real estate company. And so we're covering their parking lot there. This photo was taken during construction. That's why the parking lot is still pretty dirty. We haven't cleaned it up yet. The top right is another commercial office building. This is just north of 1604 off 281. The bottom right is, again, another commercial office building off of 1604. And then the bottom left is, interesting enough, this is a dealership that sells Peterbilt semi-trucks. And so we are covering 188 of the Peterbilt trucks, and our real estate partner here actually uses the solar carports to protect their new inventory from extreme weather events. So the reason that we're doing carports is because we see some additional value in terms of lowering the heat island effect. It's protecting people's cars from extreme hail events. Plus, it allows us to distribute this generation across CPS Energy's distribution network. So it's not all just centered in one location. How does the program work? Well, our customers receive 9 cents per kilowatt hour for 25 years, and that's based on the production of the solar panels that they own. Every month, we apply that credit to their bill, and our customers are allowed to offset up to 100% of their annual CPS Energy bill. And so here on the right is just an example. This is a CPS Energy statement, and you can see the line there that says roofless solar big sun minus $161.89. So for this given month, this customer generated almost $162 worth of credit, and it showed up on their bill. It's just deducted right off of the balance of what they owe CPS. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits of community solar. Kaylin did a great job talking about the benefits of rooftop. We're a little bit different, right? Because not every roof is suitable for solar panels. She mentioned shade from trees. This is the type of due diligence that you should do on your own roof to see if it's feasible or not. But lots of roofs are shaded. There's a lot of roofs that are older than the 10 years that Kayla mentioned earlier. So they're not in great shape. You don't want to put a 25-year asset on a roof that needs to be replaced in a few years. Not all roofs point the right direction. And not everyone likes the way that solar panels look on top of their roof. Another benefit of community solar is that the operation and maintenance costs, so keeping the panels clean, inspecting the panels, that's included in the cost of our program. We obviously put these solar panels in sunny locations, and so we pick parking lots that have great sun exposure. And then community solar is worry-free. You don't have to worry about not only the maintenance, but also not the production. We're required by CPS Energy to make sure that our system is producing a minimum amount every single month. And then a lot of our customers say, I don't mind the way they look. My roof points the right direction. However, I'm just not comfortable drilling holes in the roof. And so for those customers, community solar is a great option. And then probably the biggest is not everyone in San Antonio actually owns a rooftop. There's lots of renters. So we actually have lots of customers in our program who live in apartment buildings, or they rent their home, or for our commercial customers, they lease their office space. And since these panels have been decoupled from the real estate asset, it doesn't really matter where you live. So in 5 years from now, if you decide to move and you have invested in rooftop solar, you have to find someone to buy your house that will help you recoup the investment. Under Big Sun, in 5 years, if you decide to move, we actually just point the credit to your new address. So the solar benefits, the solar savings, they follow you around CPS Energy service territory for up to 25 years, which we think is pretty great. Location is extremely important in solar. Here's a couple of examples of what we would call bad solar. So that first photo on the left, you can see there's solar panels that are facing northwest and northeast. Those panels have a significantly lower production than panels that face due south. We don't install panels that don't face either southwest, south, or southeast, as Kaylin mentioned earlier, but there are solar companies in town that will. And you just have to be careful that you don't point the panels the wrong direction, because if your motivations are savings, if you're looking for the financial benefits, this significantly impacts your payback. And then the house in the middle, this is actually someone that lives on my street. They installed solar, and as you can see from the photo, the panels are underneath the trees. And so those panels are not going to produce any energy, and it significantly impacts the annual savings. And so this is an example of me knocking on the door, trying to talk to them about where their panels are located. Finally, I met the family that lives here, and they told me that the solar installation company told them that they were going to save $250 a month on their energy bill, which would essentially take it to zero. They're saving about $20 a month. So as you can imagine, they're pretty disappointed. And then again, the example on the right, it's the same thing. Someone installed solar panels in the shade. Those solar panels are not going to produce. And ultimately, this household is going to be unhappy about their investment. Another benefit of community solar is that our company, we're required to monitor the production. So this graph shows a household here in San Antonio. They installed solar. They were happy with the results for a little bit over a year, and then they couldn't figure out why they were not seeing any savings on their bill any longer. And they actually let it go for a fairly long time. Almost another year. Eventually, they called us. They were not one of our customers, but somehow they found us. The company that installed their system basically was from out of state, and they just left this market, and so they could not get a hold of them. Whenever we looked at their production, one of their inverters had tripped off, and it had been off for 18 months. They received zero benefit, and so if you install rooftop solar, you should be very diligent, at least every month. Make sure the system is operating properly. Okay. So now I'll talk a little bit about a little bit more about Big Sun. The majority of our community has never bought solar before, and so hopefully they reach out to organizations like Build San Antonio Green and Bring Solar Home so they can get some advice so they don't make any big mistakes. What we want to do is we want to improve the user experience. And so we've built this software platform that allows our customers not only to learn more about solar in terms of just the education side, but also really answer those questions that Kaylin asked earlier. How much solar do you need? We think we've simplified it quite a bit. With rooftop solar, it's really what are your goals? What does your consumption look like? How big is your roof? How much solar should you buy? We've kind of compressed that because we don't really need to know how big your roof is since these assets don't go on your roof. We also don't need to look at 12 months worth of your utility bills because we've built this platform that's integrated into CPS that does it for you. And so I'll show you that here in a second. Let me click on this and it takes us to the website. So this is bigsunsolar.com. You can go here and learn about the program, why we think Big Sun is better. You get the federal tax credit, just like rooftop solar. You own the panels, just like rooftop solar. Really, the big difference is with community solar, the operation maintenance is included. We insure your assets for you, so you don't have to add them to your homeowner's insurance. We have guaranteed production through our contract with CPS Energy. You get full compensation for overproduction. If you have rooftop solar and you export excess generation to the grid every month, that energy is worth a fraction of the energy that you use. So Kaylin earlier said that the value of a kilowatt hour is somewhere between 9 and 11 cents. Once you start sending more energy to the grid on a monthly basis than you're consuming, it actually drops to 1.6 cents. So the value of that energy is significantly reduced. With community solar, you get the full 9 cents regardless if you overproduce or not. And then the biggest one is that we don't have to drill holes in your roof, so you don't have to worry about roof leaks or things like that. So let me show you how you can get a quote. We're really excited about this. We worked with CPS Energy to integrate our software platform and our website into their billing department. And so what that allows us to do is actually import 12-month worth of utility bills so we can tell you exactly how much solar you should buy. So if you go to the Get a Quote tab, you plug in your CPS Energy account number, you give us permission to import your 12 months worth of your consumption history, and then you give us your zip code. So I'm going to use mine. You let me know what type of customer you are, and then we get your name. What this does is it allows us to actually verify that you are a CPS Energy customer. And then how did you hear about us? If you plug in BSAG, if you end up buying panels in our program, we'll send BSAG a $200 referral check. So that's exciting. And then request my quote. So what this does in real time, it says you're eligible. So it's verified that I am a CPS Energy customer. And it wants to know a couple of questions. So why do I want to go solar? I want to be energy independent. How comfortable am I with community solar? I'm a big fan. Obviously, I know what it is. If you click what's that, that tells us that you're not familiar with community solar. And so whenever we set up a phone call, we know that we should spend a lot of time on the education piece. What kind of solar shopper are you? I want solar yesterday. This kind of tells us that you're kind of ready to move forward. And you're probably interested in talking about how much it costs compared to, really kind of deep dive into what exactly it is. And then, let's talk about money. I'm looking to finance. So then that tells our team that we should talk to you about different financing options. So I see my options. What this does is it actually imports 12 months worth of my utility bills. And so we build this graph. The gray, this is the amount of energy that I've used over the last 12 months. And the blue is what my bill would have been if I was part of the program. And then there are different options here. So I'm going to try to make this a little smaller so we can see it. Right, so there are different options here. We have a starter, a standard, and a super. It's very flexible. We give 3 different options just to simplify it, but you can actually buy as little as 1 panel, or you can buy as much as 100% offset, or anywhere in between. So if you wanted to just do the starter, you can see how my bill history has not changed, but the amount of my energy bill with solar is higher, right? Because I'm offsetting less compared to the standard plan, right? So in March, I have a negative bill. March, April, May is all negative, and then I'll end up rolling those credits over into the summer. Or I can go, I want to try to offset as close to 100% as I can. You can see all of my negative bills, they roll over to July, August, September. With this tool, I know that I spent almost $1,900 last year on electricity. If I offset 99% of it, I'm going to save, $1,863, which is great. And then this system would be eligible for the tax credit. The system size is 13.51. This is larger than the 5 kilowatts that Kaylin mentioned earlier, but this is 100% offset. Offsetting your bill 100% with rooftop is can be difficult because not everyone has enough roof space to put 13.5 kW on their roof. Over the life of the program, this system will save me $40,000. The next step is because community solar is different than rooftop solar, what we ask is everyone just talk to someone on our sales team. We want to make sure that everyone has enough information to make an informed decision. We don't want buyer's remorse. Also, this is a limited program. Our contract with CPS allows us to sell 5 megawatts, which is the equivalent of about 450 to about 500 households. And so we want to make sure that we talk to the people before they end up buying the panels, just to make sure that it's a good fit and to make sure that we understand what their goals are. A better way, so this is a little bit more information, frequently asked questions, and then we have some environmental attributes here. And so if what I would do next is I would just pick a time on the calendar and schedule a call with the Big Sun team to learn more about the program. Right. So I'll go back to the slide deck. I think there's only one slide, so 12 minutes. And so what this represents is rooftop solar, you have to do your due diligence. You need to find a reputable solar partner. They need to look at your rooftop. Ultimately, they need to make a decision if your roof is suitable. Kaylin mentioned earlier that hopefully you're receiving 3 bids or proposals. You narrow it down to 1. They design your system. They have to get it permitted. They submit the interconnection agreement application to CPS Energy. They finally come out and they build it, which takes a few days. Then it needs to be inspected, commissioned, it's turned on, you're ready to go, right? That process can take months, right? I think the maximum amount of time with CPS is 180 days. So it has to happen in 180 days. We have people that have gone through our website. They've imported their consumption history from CPS Energy. They've scheduled a call, and they've been able to go through that process in 12 minutes, which we think is pretty exciting. That is all. Kaylin, that's my last slide. If I'm going to hand it back to you.
Yes. So thank you, Jason. I love this program because I'm a renter and I don't really have any intentions of purchasing a home. Obviously, I'm a proponent of solar. It's the industry that I work in. It's something I've been passionate about, but it's really exciting to me because of the fact that, like, renters, it's something that a renter can engage with. And you're right, we do have a lot of people who rent in San Antonio. So that's great.
That's right. We also have a lot of customers, and this was a surprise to us. They just became empty nesters. And they haven't gone solar because they expect that they're going to downsize their home in the next couple of years. And so under our program, it mitigates that risk.
Yeah, no, that solves all those solutions or those problems that used to exist, right?
That's right.
I think what we'll do now is we have the Q&A open, so you can submit some questions if you'd like, and we'll try to answer a few here. If you guys don't, or if you want to reach out to us, that's something that you can do as well. We'll give you that contact information. But I don't think anyone submitted any questions in the Q&A, which is fine. I'm always like questions in the Q&A.
Well, sometimes it might take a minute. I mean, I think what I wanted to say is that I was really excited about the presentations today. I really want to thank you, Jason, for joining us, and thank you, Kaylin, for walking us through what the options here are in San Antonio. I think for myself, something that I personally deeply believe in is that we can't have a one-size-fit-all strategy for solar here in San Antonio, which is why we're very fortunate to have these options. As Jason and Kaylin talked about today, solar is not going to be, people are in different situations. And so having a diversified strategy here in San Antonio, I think, is really helping to define us as a leader and helping to bring solar to the greatest amount of people that are able to participate, which is really, something that we've been doing a great job here in San Antonio. So again, I really want to thank you. Bring solar home. Our vision here is that we want to connect you with your options to go solar here in San Antonio. So, you can connect with us. And if you have any questions for Jason, I know that, Jason, if you want to talk a little bit about what is some of the best ways to contact you guys, you can go through the website. I know that you guys are, you can call the office. You guys are really excited to answer any questions. Kaylin, obviously on our side of Bring Solar Home, is also ready to answer any questions. And really, if you're interested in going solar, or you're looking to maybe buy a green home or renovate your home green, or you just simply want to find out how you can save energy and water in your home now that everybody is, really kind of working from home more and staying at home more. I think we've all kind of seen our bills go up. So anyhow, please ask us how we can be of service, and kind of hand it back over to Kaylin and Jason.
Well, there's a question that came through that I'm going to answer. I'm pretty excited about it. So they're asking, I'll just read it. One of our participants is looking to move to San Antonio and they don't have access to historic data. Is there a way Big Sun can access those bills as an average over a neighborhood or zip code? And so what I'll say is that we What I didn't show on the website is instead of putting in a CPS Energy account number, you can actually hit a toggle button and say, my average bill in July is $200, and then you can go through the same exact exercise. Obviously, those are not based on your actual consumption history. They're based on an estimate. But once you decide that the program's right for you and you want to move forward, what we'll do is we'll try to tighten that up based on square footage of your home, historic usage, if we have any other kind of customers in that neighborhood and so forth. So thanks for asking that question. I hope that helps. And we're definitely excited about you moving to San Antonio.
Welcome.
Kaylin, do you want to answer the question about the Mission solar panels?
Yeah,
Did
so
you see that?
those are the locally made panels here. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, those are the only locally made solar panels here in San Antonio. So when we're referring to that, we're speaking directly to the Mission Solar Energy panels.
Correct.
Let me see here. And again, just to clarify, that's the extra $500 coupled with that $2,500 flat fee. So that would bring that total rebate, that total incentive to $3,000 off the total project cost, which is really cool, which is great. Does anybody else have any questions? I see some more participants on here. Oh, sorry. Okay, so about a question about solar water heaters. The question is this. Also, how would solar water heaters tie into any of these programs? We don't know anything about them, and some resources would be great. So we have some information on solar hot water heaters on our website on bringsolarhome.com. There is not a rebate anymore for the solar hot water heater. Is that correct? Or is that, so there's no longer a CPS rebate there, but we do have a lot of information on our website just generally about how they are and how they work. And when you are considering efficiency in your home, a hot water heater is something that upgrading that water heater is something that's going to increase the efficiency in your home. So that's something to consider as well. Jason, there's another question for you. It's in the panelist portion. Do the savings from Big Sun Solar move with me if I move out of their county or out of state?
Oh, great question. So the CPS Energy, let's say the Big Sun credit is applied to your CPS Energy bill, right? So you need to be a CPS Energy customer, which means you have to live within their service territory. Which is essentially Bexar County. So if you, for some reason, over the next 25 years, you decide that you are moving and you will no longer be a CPS Energy customer, what we do is we'll essentially help you sell those solar panels to another family. So we'll have a waiting list of people that want to buy them, since we do have a limited number of panels that we can sell. So you can either sell them to friends or family. We do have people that have kind of gifted them to their children, right, that remain in Bexar County, or we'll find someone that wants to buy them. You can either find someone, a friend or family, or we can pull someone off our waiting list. But it's not we don't view it as an investment. So we're not, if you decide to move out of state, we would not send you a monthly, dividend check. It doesn't work that way. You have to be a CPS Energy customer.
Let me make sure that that was the only one that got stuck in that chat. 1 second. Yeah, I think that was it. Anything else you want to add, Jason? Or give your contact information? I know you pulled the website up there. It's a pretty easy URL to reach.
Sure. Yeah. The URL is bigsunsolar.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. If you want to send us an email, you can do that from there. I would say that's probably all.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to throw up a slide that has our contact information just so that people can visually see that. Where is it? Right here.
I also wanted to mention that our next webinar is coming up on September the 5th, and we're really excited. It's going to be a home buyer's guide with local real estate experts, and we're really going to be talking about what is a Build San Antonio green home and what's really happening right now in the real estate market. So please join us on Saturday, September the 5th. We're excited about that webinar. We're also going to be putting this webinar up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. So if you know a friend or you know other people that might have been interested in hearing this information, please direct them to to YouTube. So thank you so much.
I think that's going to conclude this the webinar. As Anita said, check out our next webinar that's going to be here on September 5th, and reach out to us if you have any other questions. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Hopefully we get some real rain, so fingers crossed.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.